Hello, Cats and Kittens, Olewa Jose, Yoshku, and I'm here to drop my impressions of the Book of Boba. I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm not a freak, but I'm a fan. And when I say freak, I don't mean that well, not as a pejorative term, but although there's not too many ways to speak well of a freak, but I mean steep in Star Wars lore. I get Star Wars. I get George Lucas Star Wars, and I have some understanding of where they were trying to go with Disney Star Wars. But I do not believe that Disney Star Wars works with what Boba Fett is supposed to be. I think there's conflict in the two. There's precious little, film-wise, prior to any of the relevant prequels or sequels, there's not a lot to go with on who Boba Fett is. For that, you got to go into the books or the comics, the comic books or any novels. Because, I mean, as far as I know from the films, Boba is a feared bounty hunter. He's clever enough to get the drop on that clever man who is Han Solo. He's the only bounty hunter that was sent after Solo that actually caught him, that got the drop on him, which means he's clever. He seems to have been feared because he seems to have a high reputation. Vader knew of him. He warned him against disintegrations, which at least tells us that he had no issues with killing people at all. So that he has some level of reputation. Then he got tossed into the Sarlacc pit and died. Now, that's Boba. And we also know from the prequels that Django was his father. Django got his head took by Mace Windu. And he held a grudge against Jedi. He seems to have had a grudge with Jedi, or he had a chip on his shoulder since he was a kid. And there's not a whole lot to go on with Boba as a character if you're just familiar with the movies. I'm familiar with the movies. The only novelizations of Star Wars that I have read had nothing to do with Boba. So going into this, I know him only by reputation. So I'll admit that straight off. And I'm aware that there are tons of Easter eggs, apparently, that are dropped in Book of Boba 1 through 4. I'm only up to 4 right now, as of this date. And there's references to all kind of minutiae that's going on in Star Wars lore and all that. I'm done with Easter eggs. You know what I'm saying? I just take the story as it is. You know what I'm saying? If I go on YouTube and somebody explain that these Nawakians are from this tale and that they mean this, and the cats with 3 eyes are, from this story and they mean that, that's fine. I find that out if I want to. But I just take the story at face value and just read it, look at it and roll, So I ain't for Easter eggs anymore. Marvel the MCU they did away with that, my fascination with Easter eggs. Okay, so I'm just looking at this at face value. Boba Fett escapes the Sarlacc pit. Fine. He gets set upon by the Tusken Raider, a tribe of the Sand People. Now, there may be many tribes. Again, I don't know. A bunch of different tribes of Sand People. The Sand People that I'm familiar with are the ones that tortured and otherwise abused Shemi Walker, leading to her death, and the ones that jumped little Luke in New Hope and rendered him senseless until he was saved by Obi-Wan. That's it. Now, again, if you know all of these details about be it sand people or the best, if you, not put it like this, in the comments, let me know, especially like the comic stuff, the best Boba Fett stories for me to read that are relevant to this Disney series, so I can understand exactly who. Because I want to learn. You know what I'm saying? I'm not above learning. So the best Boba Fett stories that you can put me on to, I'm gonna read them jokers, and it may enhance my enjoyment of this series. But up until now, all I can say is he's pretty soft. Maybe it was the Sarlacc pit to change his perspective on the world, or maybe it was the his time with the Raiders, the Sand People, or whatever, Stockholm Syndrome, I believe, because he seems indebted to them for some reason. But the only reason it seems that he's still alive is that he defeated that sand beast and saved that young sand person that was abducting him and forcing him to dig for water, most likely until he died. So they didn't really do him any favors at the beginning. He was captured, tied to a post, then forced to dig for water. And when he did manage to survive the attack from that sand beast, and I don't know if he saved that little kid, that Raider kid, and came back to the camp victorious with the head of that beast, and then they took him into their tribe for some reason. And again, I guess in this Disney series, the Sand People are analogous to the Native Americans in the United States, or at least this tribe. I'm not sure, but the Sand People are good people. They've just been, I don't know, maybe their land has been taken from them by somebody for some reason. I don't know. It's not really that important to me, but why he, short of Stockholm Syndrome, I don't know why he feels so indebted to them. Because they didn't kill him when they had the chance, I guess. But through the story, he seems like he's like, old school Casper the Friendly Ghost. He's kind to every living creature. He gives everybody a break, and it usually comes back to bite him in the butt. All right. I'm not understanding Boba that much. Now, Boba in The Mandalorian was cool. He seemed like he was hardcore, beast mode. He had it together, and he seemed maybe not ruthless, maybe not cruel, but he seemed like he had it together. This Boba Fett seems indecisive. He seems not really to have a plan. He doesn't have much agency. He's just not very clever, not even very smart. I don't really get him. I don't get why I should be really, into him as a character. He don't seem like the hardcore beast mode dude that everybody keeps subscribing to me. So in that respect, I'm lost. His plan, apparently, in episode 4, did clear up a few things, is that why he took over Jabba's empire from Bib Fortuna apparently was because his experience being manhandled by the Sand People taught him that he needed a tribe. He feels like he needs a family or a crew. I don't know if he's thinking in terms of family or just a tribe or a crew or whatever. But oddly enough, he takes over Bib Fortuna's operation by just running through with one person at his back. Up until this point, his crew is one. Okay. What's her name? Finish Shan. With that one person, he goes through, and they're two skilled killers, so they run through and shoot him, and they shoot Bib Fortuna in his hideout or his palace or whatever. And by that, they mean that they took over his operations. Now, crime lords, and they keep saying he calls himself a daimyo, and I think a crime lord and a daimyo, I got two different definitions for the two, but let's leave that out. His idea is that he's going to take over Fortuna's operation with this one person at his back. But it seems like a criminal organization is made up of a lot of people. You might have bodyguards and stuff like that around you to provide you with safety, which Fortuna had. They just weren't very good because they basically did nothing and got him killed. Jabba's security apparently was better because you had to be a Jedi to get the drop on him, and even Luke wound up in that little pit down there with the Rancor. So, like I said, criminal organizations is made up of bosses, consigliaries, underbosses, muscle, all of that. So he thinks he's going to control all of that with one person, with Fenner Shan. That's it. And he goes around town introducing himself and collecting money. Well, I wouldn't give him any money. I wouldn't give tribute to him at all until he produces some reason for me to fear him. I guess it's his reputation, I suppose. Maybe Shan's reputation, but I need more than reputation before I give you my money, which I sweated and bled over. You know what I mean? I need to know that you could kill me. You know? Yeah, he got the drop on Bib Fortuna, but I mean, honestly, I don't see how or why. Anyway, so all of the underbosses and the various territories that were under Bib kick tribute up to him, I guess, because he killed Bib. And he thinks he's just going to run things like that. He walks around in the street with one person at his back up until he gets two more people. The Gamorrean guards. So he picks up two more people, in three, I think it is, and still proclaims himself a daimyo or boss or whatever it is he's supposed to be. And he walks around unprotected, gets jumped, which is the logical thing to do. Jump a man that don't got but one person at his back, and get put back into the back thingy to recover. I mean, what is his plan? And to be honest with you, it seems like Fennec Shan does most of the thinking for him. You know, she offers as a consigliere, she's pretty good. She might well be running the Joker himself because he has the idea to be a boss, but he's got no reasonable plan as to how to carry this out. You got the Pikes, you got the other Hutts that were out there that could easily lay claim to Bib Fortuna's operation. Then eventually he picks up this motorcycle gang who look way out of place. I mean, that's another story altogether. All I'm saying is his organization is from hunger. It doesn't make sense. And he himself is always giving people breaks. And he wants to rule with, what did he say? He says, Jabba rule with fear, I want to rule with respect. Respect without, in a criminal organization. If you was running for a political office, maybe you could get away with that, maybe. But a criminal organization, you got to scare somebody. I mean, Al Capone, I think he set up the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. You got to do stuff that's dirty, and Disney don't want to go there. You know, they don't want to go into what being a criminal is. They're trying to set him up as being more of a mayor or a councilman or something that doesn't require any type of, you know. There's not going to be a bloodbath here because, again, this is Disney. There's not going to be any excessively rough action, but that runs contrary to what he's trying to do and who he has been up until this point. So in that respect, I don't get it, and it's kind of puzzling to me, and it doesn't really work in a lot of respects because he doesn't have much agency. He's always getting help in terms of what his planning is or what his methods are or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He seems not fit for what he's trying to do, which is, okay, I guess. But at least, I mean, if you're going to be wrong or if you don't know what you're doing, just do it with force. You know what I'm saying? Be true to yourself in your disposition. You know what I'm saying? He's being meek and mild and helpful and kind to everybody. And I guess he expects that to get him brownie points so that he can be a crime boss, but that's not how it works. Well, I'm not a crime boss either, so I don't know. All I'm saying, but if you show weakness among sharks, they're going to eat you, I suppose. That's a guess. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really understand this Boba Fett. I expected, now I'm terrified as to what Disney's going to do with the Punisher. He's going to probably be selling flowers by the roadside. I don't know. But it's not horrible. Don't get me wrong. There are bits that are nice, but if you evaluate this next to Mandalorian comes out better because the Mandalorian was a bounty hunter and he stayed true to being a bounty hunter. The first bounty that we see him record, he gave the dude no breaks. He didn't feel sorry for him. He just turned him over. The only reason he turned Guru over too. Don't get that twisted either. But he reflected on the fact that Guru saved his life from that rhinoceros thing. And he felt indebted to it. And he was a child, And we never knew him to not have a weak spot for children. All I know of Boba Fett is that he was a bounty hunter, good at it, and feared. Now, if you want to start throwing this twist in there where he's kind to every living creature, I got to call you out on that because he seems a little too soft. He seems a lot too soft for me. So I'm hanging in there with it, but at the same time, so just let me know the best Boba Fett stories out there so I can understand who he is and maybe, I don't know, maybe I can understand where they're going with this. Is he hardcore or is he not? Is he like a boss level, vicious cat, or is he soft-hearted and kind or what? I don't know. I'm saying, first of all, he's got nobody at his back, so there's no way he could be a crime lord. He's got his thinking process is just not suited for running a criminal organization. He's in a palace with like 6 people, a soft biker gang, his girl sidekick who's legit, true, but that's, and then them 2 Gamorrean or whatever guards. He got like 6 people to help him run this organization. And again, the sand people have been turned soft. For what reason, I don't know. I guess to facilitate his change to being kind to every living creature. I don't understand this. I don't understand any of this. But then again, I'm not overly educated on Boba Fett. So let me know what Boba Fett stories I can get into and understand this dude. And let me know if you think that he's consistent with who Boba Fett is supposed to be. So I'll stick out the series, until it gets ridiculous. But let me know what you think of the series and let me know what good Boba Fett reading there is out there. So that's the best I can do in terms of it. It's not really a review, it's more in my impressions of the story. So that's it. Maybe I'll see if episode 5 changes my opinion. I'll give another impressions on the series. Until then, stay loose.